Okay, so in this week's Oh My God segment, we're going to be talking about the Catholic Church because there's a new report just came out in Ireland about how bad and deep the harboring of the pedophiles were. Because let's remember, the problem wasn't necessarily that there were molesters in the church. There's molesters in every church. The problem was that the church, from the top down, starting at the tippy top with the Pope, harbored them and obstructed the police's investigation. So what they did was they let these child rapists loose on other people and kept them raping children. And they kept harboring them because they wanted to protect the institution instead of protecting the innocent children. So they have a new report that just came out in Ireland, and I'm going to play. Here's the Prime Minister of Ireland, and here's what he has to say about it.
For the first time in this country, a report into child sexual abuse exposes an attempt by the Holy See to frustrate an inquiry in a sovereign democratic republic as little as 3 years ago, not 3 decades ago. And in doing so, the Klein report excavates the dysfunction, the disconnection, the elitism that dominate the culture of the Vatican today. The rape and the torture of children were downplayed or managed to uphold instead the primacy of the institution, its power, its standing, and its reputation.
So that's the Prime Minister of Ireland, and he's saying that this new report they just came out with showed that the church was obstructing police investigation into child rapists. And I like that he called them child torturers. He said child torture. That's what it is. And he said not 3 decades ago, 3 years ago. This was 3 years ago. This was happening. And he's a little outraged about it. And so Chris Hayes has these Catholics on his show. And he has on a couple of Catholic writers. He has on a priest. He has on a woman. I don't know if she's a nun, but she looks like one. And so they're all talking about, and they're upset also with the Catholics' handling of the pedophilia. But they remain in the church. They remain inside this church, which I don't understand that, okay?
I remain in the Catholic Church because it's the only way I can still get an erection.
So here...
You'd think something was afoot, with the, saint molester.
They made that guy a saint. That's a mistake.
They left clues for us.
That's a mistake.
I went on the Pope's Facebook page, and he poked me.
Literally.
That's not right.
So
I got poked.
That's not right.
That's going to hurt.
So Chris Hayes asks correctly, why do you stay in the church? And he asked this one Catholic female writer, and here's what she says.
Sure. Well, I went to Yale Divinity School, which is a Protestant seminary with a ton of Catholic students and Catholic...
Okay, so first of all, she says, I went to Yale Divinity School. In case you don't know this, I just want everybody to know, anytime someone insists on mentioning the Ivy League school they attended when they're answering a question, they're an a-hole and they're full of crap, okay? And so here we go.
Faculty in it, and that gave me years to figure out what it was that I loved about this church and what was distinctive. And
first of all, I think it's funny that she has to, while in college, it takes her years to figure out what she loves about the church. Mm-hmm. You already love it, you just don't know what it is you love about the church. Have you ever loved something like that before in your life, that you loved it, but you didn't know why you loved it? Even something as confusing as Rocky Road ice cream, I knew why I loved it right away. Okay.
You have to love it on faith, Jimmy. It take years to develop the taste for Rocky Road.
So here is after a few years of all the time she needed to figure out what it was. This is what she loved about the church.
And what hurts me about so many more traditional Catholics who claim to love the church is they have this very reductive view of Catholicism that says, well, it all comes down to what you believe about sexual morality. When in fact, the beauty of this tradition is its sacramental theology, and the sacramental theology that is the basis for this unparalleled social justice tradition.
Okay, so... She says that she's upset at other people who have what she calls a reductive view of religion, which that's a pretty good academic word. She completely misused it. Reductive would be taking the 7 sacraments as the sum total of the Catholic religious experience, which is what she just did. She's trying to pretend that the sacramental, I don't know if you're not Catholic, sacraments are like marriage is a sacrament. The Eucharist,
the body of Christ, right?
Yes. So when you have a piece of bread and they say that becomes the body of Christ, that's called the sacrament of the Eucharist. So they have these so all of
Actually, when they have the bread now, they call it the body of carbs.
So what they do now is, so what they're saying is, because we have a ritual and we added this word sacrament to it to make it sacred, now it's just it's a ritual. She's been in the church because she likes the rituals.
I used to take the Sacramento Freeway to Stockton. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And what she's doing is she's being overly simplistic, and she's being inappropriately myopic, like not recognizing.
She went to Yale Divinity School. Don't forget that, Jimmy.
I'm trying not to forget she went to Yale, but she's not recognizing that the Catholic Church is as much a secular institution of power as it is a body of spiritual constructs, right? And
you know what, Jimmy? I just want to say that if she brags about her Ivy League background one more time, she could get hired to write for The Simpsons.
Yes. SNL.
And Conan O'Brien.
You know, I would have respected her more if she would have just said, look, I go for the crackers and wine, and the rest of it seems like BS.
I like the organ music.
So that was her real answer. She spent years at Yale trying to figure out what she loved about the Catholic Church, this place filled with pedophiles and their harborers, and she stays in this institution. Why? Because of their sacramental theology that it somehow has to be administered by pedophiles. I don't understand this. Why she stays in there. Go ahead.
The Catholic Church provided her with a structure for her self-hatred.
Yes, I think you're right. So here's
You know what? I do find one thing annoying, just overall, that she has to say that she was hurt by these people. Like, she was hurt by people having any kind of opposing viewpoint about the Catholic Church. She's hurt?
She got off easy, I think.
Absolutely.
Relative to other people's experience.
She's not outraged about anything. She's just hurt how people are interpreting her doctrine, I guess.
Yeah, I again, that was the answer to why do you stay in this organization that is not only filled with pedophiles, but run at the tippy top by people who harbored them. We all know this now. The Mahoney here in Los Angeles just had to resign. He's still a cardinal, by the way.
Oh, and he can't wait to vote for the new pope.
And he's had to resign because they found out he was actively thwarting the police investigation of pedophiles that he harbored. He didn't turn them in, but I don't understand why any of these guys don't have to go to jail. They don't.
Yeah, they're criminals.
They're criminals. So if you did that in any other organization, you'd go to jail, but they don't because they work for the church, which is another reason to not like religion, because it gives false piety to people who don't deserve it.
They don't go to jail because it's a huge corporation. You know, it's a huge corporation.
Yes.
Billions of dollars, the same way the oil companies, you know.
Yeah. Yes, it's
Wall Street
beat the rap.
Yes.
This is another corporation that's beating the rap.
Exactly. They have a lot of power.
Let's face it, God is too big to fail.
God is too big to fail.
As the Reverend Gene Scott used to say here in L.A., a great pastor here, he would diagram the word Ecclesiastes, and he would take it down to its root, which was money.
Oh, really?
That was his argument. Yeah, Ecclesiastes is the root of that word is in money.
Money.
Filthy lucre, yeah.
And you know, I'm tired of people giving them these titles, Cardinal, Roger Mahoney. Why isn't it just Predator?
That's funny.
Capital P.
So they have another
Arch predator.
They have another Catholic writer on, and Chris Hayes asked him the same question. Why do you stay in this church? Because this guy admitted to questioning it. He was an atheist for a while, but he came back to the church. And here's why this guy came back to the church. Ready?
What is the Catholic Church good for unless you believe the tomb was empty on Sunday, Jesus Christ is the risen Lord, and you want to get to heaven?
Well, actually, I say, what is the Catholic Church good for even if you believe that stuff and want to go to heaven? Why do you need that? There's dozens of other churches. If you believe that he's the risen Lord and all that stuff, why do you need the Catholic Church? Why can't you go to like a Unitarian church where they have a lot more singing and less molesting? Why? I don't understand why you have to go.
It's the same reason I watch the TV show Smash. I need something silly in my life.
Here,
I am a Bogomil, and I will never go back to Catholicism.
He is a Bogomil.
Let me listen to this guy again. Let's listen to what he has to say.
What is the Catholic Church good for unless you believe the tomb was empty on Sunday, Jesus Christ is the risen Lord, and you want to get to heaven?
Okay, well, what is it good for? I don't know. There's all the schools, the hospitals, the real estate, the various charities. The Catholic Church could cut out all the God stuff and still be one of the world's largest and most powerful financial, political powers in the world. So, just on their T-shirt sales alone.
They got a lot of paintings and mosaics.
Got a lot
The
of
God stuff is only dragging them down.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
It
One
really
thing.
Holding them back.
One big thing, they got to get rid of the pigeons.
The fact that the resurrection is the main reason he's in the Catholic Church means he's no different from a Star Wars fan. You know, in other words, fantasy is what he's into.
Yes. A very good point, Frank.
I don't know. There's no pedophilia in Star Wars, right?
Hang on, there's more coming. Let me hear this guy again.
Until the sequels come out.
Okay.
What is the Catholic Church good for unless you believe the tomb was empty on Sunday, Jesus Christ is the risen Lord, and you want to get to heaven? Right. Like, that is what drew me back into the church.
Really, of all the options to worship Jesus, from the Pentecostals with the snake juggling to the Unitarians, which are basically, they just meet at a Denny's every Sunday to chat. That's basically what they are. And you felt drawn to the one church that molests kids and thinks having sex is too magical to permit condoms. This is one of those moments when I'm going to say, don't follow your heart, buddy. That's one of those moments. So, and I love how that woman, none of them try to reconcile the rape thing. None of them try to reconcile the rape. That's what he specifically asked them. Hey, how do you reconcile staying in this? Why do you stay in this organization and try to change it instead of just leaving it? And they couldn't answer that question. That woman didn't try to answer that question. She didn't, you know.
And so what? You want to believe in those three things. Why do you have to belong to the Catholic Church?
That's my
point. You want to
point.
get to heaven. I want to get to heaven. Where could I go? Oh, there's nothing but pedophiles around. Okay.
Everything's mystical to them. Everything has a double meaning. For instance, Jesus has risen.
Okay.